Hello everyone, welcome to the Ceci Truman Live Show. This show will be starting in just a few moments, so stay tuned. And if you're seeing us on social media, please like, share, and follow. For more information, go to trumanforcongress.com. This show is brought to you by Ceci Truman. Here's Ceci.
Welcome everyone to the Ceci Truman Live Show. Today is going to be a very special podcast with the guest General Michael Flynn, and he is a 3-star general who served as a former national security advisor for President Trump. His military career included a key role in shaping the U.S. counterterrorism strategy and dismantling insurgent networks in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Everyone, please welcome our very special guest, General Michael Flynn, to the show.
Thank you, Ceci. Thanks for having me. And if people watching this think that I'm on a boat on the high seas, I'm in an RV on the rough roads.
That's right.
So we're driving around the country doing a 35 city and nationwide tour showing this film, Flynn, Deliver the Truth, whatever the cost. And people can go to flynnmovie.com to watch it. It's wonderful feedback. It's an amazing movie. It's a story of survival, persecution, and it's a very inspiring story. And basically, you know, the big message and the big question that I think does get addressed in this is, what are you willing to fight for? And that's what the film is really all about. And for me, the answer is my family, because I've been willing to die for my country. So I'm certainly willing to stand up and fight for my family. And that's what I had to do. So my family came together to do that. So wonderful being on your show. Thank you so much. Thanks for just being a partner, a great teammate, a great warrior, and a great champion in all that you're doing and your message. You have a great, great message. And I know that your audience resonates with that message. Thanks for just being the great warrior that you are.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me, coming from you, General, and all that, how you've served our country, and how you will continue to serve our nation. I want to show the audience a brief clip of your trailer because it's so impactful. They have to see this. So let's go ahead and show that clip.
President's former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleading guilty today to lying to the FBI.
Flynn knew exactly how the system worked. He knew exactly what the intel world had been up to. He understood its funding. They had to get rid of Flynn.
There was a moment where I just felt like I was drowning. So I'm in there with these other political appointees. They're all supposed to go in there and tell what they believe to be the truth. What they did was they took my assessment and they wanted me to change it. And I was like, I'm not changing it.
He was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
President Obama said, but I do have one specific recommendation. Stay away from Michael Flynn. He's bad news.
Over time, instead of being pounded down below the surface of the ocean, we started to fight. I'm now above the surface.
Go to flynnmovie.com and watch today. And be sure to watch on Amazon and leave a comment.
So that's just a little teaser trailer. I implore everyone to watch the movie. And General, tell the audience why they should watch the movie, how it will affect their own life, because they need to understand what is going on with the system in our nation and how it's going to come knocking at their front door very soon here.
Yeah. So what has happened to our country is every institution in our government has really been weaponized against the American people, particularly the Department of Justice. Everybody sees that right now with what's going on with President Donald J. Trump. I mean, it sort of all started, with me and my departure from the White House back in 2017. So it's been really, if you go back to 2016, when we now know the elements of the federal government were spying on a presidential campaign, that's 8 years now this has been going on, and it's been going on actually longer than that. But the weaponization of the justice system, the weaponization of the intelligence community, the weaponization of law enforcement against the citizens of this country, that's a really scary proposition, but it's for real. That's number one. One of the things that people need to understand is that this is not just against guys like me and guys like Trump. This happens to everyday Americans. Everyday Americans there's so many people that I've learned in my time now being involved in all this. So many Americans that have never committed a crime but are serving time in prisons in this country, but never committed any crimes at all. And yet they're serving jail time. That's a horrible, horrible, thing to even imagine. But that is the truth, because the Justice Department is not incentivized by discovering the truth. They're incentivized by getting the conviction. That's number one. The second thing is that the timing that we are in right now, we're in a very historic time for the United States of America. And if we don't get this right, and that's what this movie does, is it talks to people about what we face, the deep levels of corruption, but it also addresses service to nation, and again, sort of through my eyes, the lens of my story. And it also tries to inspire people to start thinking about what you're willing to fight for. What are you willing to take a stand over, right? And what are you willing to speak out about? And I think every American needs to, start really, if you haven't started thinking about it, you need to start thinking about it now. And certainly the movie will cause you to do that. I think the other thing is really more of a life lesson, and it definitely comes out in this. And I talk about this all the time, that, people are going to get knocked down in life. There's going to be bad times. There's going to be tough times. Everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through it in your family, in marriages, in a car accident. It's just bad things happen to people, to good people. And it's not that bad things happen. It's what do you do about it? That's how you will be judged. And I think, to me, that's such an important but simple, common sense type acknowledgement. Okay, so you went through a bad patch, right? So what are you doing about it to make your life better, to make the lives of those around you that you love better? And I think that's another big theme in this. It's not about, and I say this, it's not about going overseas to fight our enemies because we hate them. It's being able to stand up for our country and fight overseas because we love our country. What I discovered, and I say this specifically in the movie, what I discovered was the greatest enemy that I had ever faced was right here at home, and not something that I ever imagined, not something that I had planned for, not something that I could even, in all the great experiences and the blessed life that I've had, even I could not imagine the depth of corruption that we had, and now we know. Now we know it's permeated into every single institution of our government. So the movie goes through that, and I go through a bit of a short history lesson dating back to the assassinations of the 1960s of both Kennedys, John, the president, Robert Kennedy, the campaign running for president, Martin Luther King, of course, Malcolm X. I go back through and I look at those. I look at the warning that I addressed the warning that Eisenhower President Eisenhower gave the country when he talked about the military-industrial complex, which wasn't fully developed by that time, but it has clearly, systematically and fully developed now. And there's other elements of it. I call it the security state, the services state, the censorship state that we all have experienced and been exposed to. All those things. And we address all of it in this movie. This powerful, powerful statement of truth and honesty that is very, very intimate. The other thing that we take you through is I take the audience into a very intimate look inside my family, which I have a large family, 9 brothers and sisters, and about half of them are actually in the film itself talking, and it's terrific because it's emotional, it's real, it's raw, very raw, and it's very real. People are introduced to my wife, they're introduced to certainly one of my sons who they did get to know in the time that I was being persecuted, but other members of my family that were all affected. And these are a strong. This is a strong family, Irish Catholics who came together and surrounded each other with love and decided we're not going to take this, and we stood up and we figured out how to beat it, and we did. We were able to beat it. So now what we want to do is we want to share that message of victory and share that message of sacrifice and perseverance and determination and inspiration with the rest of the world, certainly with the people in our beautiful country. And I think people need to see it. You see it, you're going to go, oh my God, it's going to cause you to do more. It's going to definitely cause you to do more.
Yes. So I watched the film once again. I saw you in Santa Barbara just a few weeks ago. And now General Flynn, just so you all know, he's on a bus tour. His large bus is wrapped in all things General Flynn, and it's amazing. And he's got a little fleet traveling with him. And he started in Florida, went to some states before Texas, and then you ended up in California, where I saw you in Santa Barbara. And then he went up north to, I think, to Oregon, Washington. And now you're moving towards Milwaukee, I've heard. Now, just a little side note, General, I come from a large family as well. I'm one of 8 kids. So we have that little thing in common. Although I was the oldest and I was kind of like the mama bear, my dad used to call me Sergeant Ceci. Couldn't figure that out for the longest, but I think I understand now.
Exactly.
So it's just
That's
natural
great
for me to take charge. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So you're going to be in Milwaukee. I've heard President Trump will be there as well. Do you want to talk about how important that state of Wisconsin will be?
Yeah, and Wisconsin, it's a big state. It's a beautiful state. Great people up here, but it is purple, right? It's purple. We call red versus blue, but it's purple. And you have a uniparty establishment up here in Milwaukee that has got a really tight grip on the political establishment, all that permeates down into all the counties. I know the Speaker of the House up here, his name is Robin Voss. You've got the old establishment people up here like Reince Priebus, who I do address in my movie, not in a positive way. Paul Ryan, who I also address in my movie briefly. These are establishment figures. So Trump is coming up here at a really critical time for him. Obviously, the judges in the New York case has put I call it a slap order, basically to a gag order, right, to keep him from being able to talk about anything, to limit his ability to speak freely. He hasn't even been found guilty in this judge's court, right? I mean, this is how bad this is. This is how much talk about election interference. Trump is actually speaking probably right now. I think it was at 2:00 this afternoon. We're still on the road heading into Milwaukee, so he's actually speaking this afternoon. I think he's got to get back tonight so he can get back into court tomorrow. This is insane what he's doing. Wisconsin is a hugely, hugely important state for us to win in order to win the White House back. We have to win Wisconsin, and it is going to be an uphill battle as much because it is, you have pockets of progressive, that where the progressive left is really strong, Madison, Milwaukee, and it's really difficult. That those alone, never mind the uniparty establishment figures and leaders up here who can't stand Trump, who are trying to, they're fighting him, in our own party, and that has to end. It has to end. We are now fighting for this country. We cannot look at politics as usual, Ceci, or Sergeant Ceci. We can't look at it like that. We have to now stand up for our country. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, Libertarian, whatever you are. If you believe in America, you need to vote for America. And like I tell people that don't that there's a lot of people. There's uniparty people. There's Republicans. There's others who are Americans who really don't. They don't trust the parties, but they know that there is clearly something wrong with our country, and it's undeniable. And I tell people, what do you want? You want 60% of something instead of 0% of nothing. So this is not about holding your nose, folks. This is about saving America from the clutches of socialism and worse, Marxism, because that's the direction, that's the path we're going down.
And what we're currently witnessing is what we saw pre-World War II, when suddenly people came out completely unashamed to be anti-Semitic. And I see the parallels, and I'm frightened for our nation that we are entering into the clutches of World War III. Well, I think are in a world war truly, but I don't think Americans have truly seen it come to fruition. And I wanted to ask your analysis on what is currently happening in Israel, if it's okay to ask that of you, being an expert in everything military. Right now there's international pressure being put on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to not go into Rafah. And, I say he needs to finish the job because, and that is the last stronghold of Hamas. Because they've got to next deal with the Hezbollah in the north. And then, Iran just fired directly from their soil. They just fired into Israel just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So what is your take on all of this?
Yeah. So very briefly, I can get into a longer analysis of why, but very briefly, Israel needs to stand their ground. Warfare is not fair. Israel needs to stand their ground right now, and they need to destroy Hamas. That means make them incapable of conducting any more operations at all for a long, long time until if they're able to reconstitute. They need to be destroyed. The Arab nations around the region need to recognize that Israel is not going to put up with this nonsense about Palestine being their problem or the Palestinians being their problem. None of these countries, none of these Middle Eastern countries hey, if Iran wants to back them, why doesn't Iran allow them to come into, let them all live in Tehran, as far as I'm concerned. All these college campuses around the United States of America, where all these college kids, and frankly, some of them aren't college kids, some of them are just hardcore activists. They're communist sympathizer, radical Islamist sympathizer activists being paid to destroy campuses and to destroy cities in our own country.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU is doing.
Is there something that NYU is doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure do you know what NYU is doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either. I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU's needed our support, so I came down. I heard their.
So, Egypt, Saudi, Jordan, all these, these Oman. All these Arab nations need to solve the Palestinian problem. It is not Israel's problem. Israel needs to destroy Hamas, and then they need to be prepared to turn, and they also need to be prepared, which they are, to defend themselves against Hezbollah, which is another Iranian surrogate. And the United States must stand with Israel. This is not one where we can be on the sidelines and the pathetic, feckless leaders that we have in Washington, D.C. right now, all parties, especially in the Republican Party, but certainly in the White House and in the State Department and the Department of Defense. And I'm not talking about our military, our uniform wearing military who are doing what they're told to do, but we have really incredibly pathetic leaders in our political leadership in Washington, D.C. They need to shore themselves up. They need to look at themselves in the mirror and know that in the history books, those who stand for the harder right, which is really the right thing to do, is to stand with Israel. If we don't stand with Israel right now, then no ally of the United States of America will think that we'll ever stand with them when the going gets rough. So Israel is a beacon of light in a cauldron of just swirl, ugly swirl, and we have got to stand with the only democracy, first of all, in that region, and they are our longtime ally, and
Yes.
all these people that are just Jew haters or anti-Semitic, all this nonsense online. You know what? Be very careful, folks. For your listeners, be very careful of some of these people and some of these, And I would just say to you that the Jewish community in this country needs to really recognize that there aren't two sides to this coin. You cannot play both sides. I know that there's a lot of Jews in this country that lean with the Democrats. Think twice, because you're with a party that is going to let Israel hang out there to dry by themselves, and potentially the survival of Israel is at stake in this historic period. This is World War III. We just haven't numbered it yet, but trust me, folks,
Right.
we didn't number World War I until World War II. Okay, nobody wants to say we're in World War III, because World War I was called the Great War until we had World War II, and then they said, well, we'll call it World War I. This will be World War II because of the global alliances that were formed up against each other. And in this case, the global alliance that's formed up against Israel includes Russia, China, Venezuela, North Korea, Iran, and other nations. Qatar is another one out there, right? And this administration is dealing. Turkey's another one, exactly. And others in the region, or in certainly the trans region of the North Africa and some other African nations that are aligned with that alliance that I just walked through. Whereas the United States, is standing with who? We're giving we're giving billions of dollars to Iran. Iran's firing missiles. Iran is providing weapon systems to Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthi rebels. I mean, this is effective. The United States of America is paying for the whole thing, and we just dropped $300 million on a floating port out there that's supposed to be brought into the port of Gaza to do what? To be destroyed by these animals? They're still holding hostages. I think they still have 130 hostages. Some of them are 133. Some of them are Americans. There's at least 10 or 12 that are Americans. So Israel needs to stand strong. Israel needs to destroy Hamas, and all this craziness that's happening in our campuses. For your audience and for the American people, shore up, folks. Tighten your bootstraps, because it's not going to end this weekend. It's going to be a long, long summer of sacrifice. And this war that's going on in the Middle East is here in the streets of America, and it's because these radical Islamists that want to change the very nature of our country, the culture of our society, and remove our Constitution as our way of life is very real. That threat is not a theory or theoretical. That threat is real, and so everybody needs to be prepared for it. And like I said, we are in the throes of World War III, and there is a gigantic, and a very insidious form of war, of combat inside of that war, and it's called the war for the cognitive battle space, meaning our minds. And it's the most insidious type of warfare, because it's psychological operations, it's deception, it's use of social media, it's censorship of the truth. So use great discernment in what it is that you do. And really, Ceci, I'm not talking to you. I don't mean to preach to you. I'm really talking to your audience out there.
I appreciate
it. Anyway.
Well, Harvard just had a poll recently, just a few days ago, and it said that more than 70% of United States population supports Israel going and finishing the job in Rafah. And so the optics that we're seeing with these kids on the college campuses, I think, is what you just mentioned. It's part of the deception that, that the left is on the winning side, but in actuality, it's the right. That is on the side of Israel, and even not, even those that are in the middle, in the center. So,
and some of these kids are being paid. Some of these people. Yes. I want people to know. I want to emphasize this. Maybe some know, maybe don't. Some don't. These activists that get out there in these college campuses, they're very well organized. They have their. All you got to do is look at their signs. Look at some of the signs. You can see that these signs are they're like pressed signs, meaning that they're made somewhere. Somebody's making these signs. That means somebody has to pay for these signs. And these people that show up that are not part of these college campuses that show up or that show up in the streets with bullhorns and gear, these are people who are paid to go there and instigate and activate and cause mayhem, cause chaos, cause division. These are paid people. These are not somebody who's, and now what they do though is they get these young kids who like to throw on a cloth around their face and pretend like they understand even where Palestine is, or they understand anything about Islam. They have no clue. Believe me, they have no clue. They're what they call in the world of Marxism and Leninism useful idiots.
That's right. Exactly. You nailed it. General, I thank you so much for your precious time, and I pray a safe journey for you all, and that much success. We will be forwarding your movie. Everyone, go to flynnmovie.com, order it today. Go to Amazon, as a matter of fact, because they need people to order on Amazon too. It has to do with the algorithm, right?
The live streaming. We want to live. It's streaming on Amazon, and if you do stream it, this is what we're asking. Ceci, thank you for bringing this up. If you do stream it, we really, after you watch it, I'd love people to give their feedback. Just like you buy a book and you give a review. You rent the movie and please give a review on the movie. And if you do that, it really does help us, because what it does, we're fighting on sort of the enemy's battlefield. That's because that's what we have, right? And in order to beat them at their own game, we want to get as much. And again, good, bad, or indifferent, but I do believe when you watch this movie, people are going to be blown away, and they're going to go, "Oh my God, I didn't know. Thank you for telling this story," and it will affect you. It will emotionally affect you when you watch it.
Well, I saw it with my husband and my son and his wife, and we were in tears. So it touched us, and I know that it will touch every one of you out there in the audience. Again, go to Amazon. Order it digitally. You can also get the DVD, but make a comment, leave a comment, very important, and support General Flynn in what he is doing, because it's not just about General Flynn, but it's about America. And so we do this for your children, do this for your grandchildren. Very important. So we love you. God bless you, General, and God bless America. And I always say, God save America.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ceci. Love you too. All right. See ya.
God bless.
This show is brought to you by Ceci Truman.